Hello everybody, today back in another video. Oh boy, it is Wimbledon time. My tennis friends all around the world. The third Grand Slam tournament of the year. After we saw Australian Open earlier this year, winning by Yannick Sinner. Then the second Grand Slam tournament of the year, which was French Open 1 month ago, winning by Carlos Alcaraz. And now we have the third Grand Slam tournament of the year, which is Wimbledon. The most prestigious tournament in tennis, the biggest tennis tournament in tennis, even though it is the least common surface we have in tennis, which is grass. The most common surface we have in tennis is hard court, then clay, and the least common surface we have in tennis is grass. But despite all that, this is the biggest tennis tournament in the world. You can ask whoever tennis player in the world, even from future level, challenger level, even young kids who are just starting playing tennis, which is their dreams, which is the biggest dream for them to win, which tournament they dream of winning the most. The majority of them will say Wimbledon. That's what I believe. So, and here we got it, guys. It is just around the corner. Wimbledon starts a couple of days from now, and I am here to give my preview, my top 8 favorite list. I really am sorry. I apologize that I've not done this video earlier, but I've been so busy, and actually I'm still am. I'm planning and I'm packing bags to travel tomorrow to my birth country, Macedonia. So I'm really stressed, and that's why I have not done a video just immediately when the draw came out. But I'm here now to do this top 8 favorite list. And those who have not seen my videos before, the players I have the highest on my top 8 favorite list is the players I believe the most will win the tournament, and the players I have lowest on my top 8 favorite list, like 6, 7, and 8, is the players I believe less they will win the tournament. But one of these 8 favorites I believe will win the tournament. Outside these 8 favorites, if somebody wins the tournament, I will be really surprised. And the players I believe the most will win the tournament, of course, is number 1 player, number 2 player, and number 3 player. And that's actually been the case. I would say 99% of the cases when I do my top 8 favorite list, it is the one of the top 3 favorites that wins the Grand Slams. Alright guys, let's get into this video without any further ado. On my 8th spot, I have a player who has done most quarterfinal appearances and not winning one of them. That is not a pretty beautiful record that he has. Quarterfinal appearances, I mean, in Grand Slams. You probably know it by now. You who follow tennis. I have him on my 8th spot. I actually didn't have him on my top 8 favorite list at French Open, which was the correct decision. He never made it to quarterfinal at French Open 1 month ago, but I think that he can make a comeback here. He is 0-10 in Grand Slam quarterfinal matches. Unfortunately for him, he has never won a quarterfinal match in 10 quarterfinal matches that he has played in Grand Slams. And that player I'm talking about is, of course, Rublev. I believe he will make it to 11th quarterfinal appearances in Grand Slams. Rublev, he has played one Wimbledon quarterfinal before. Rublev, of course, he has not won one. He has never won a quarterfinal match in Grand Slam stages. Like I said, he's 0-10 in Grand Slam quarterfinal matches. So I think at least he will make it to a quarterfinal here at Wimbledon. He has a pretty good draw, according to me. Consana, player I've never heard about. Korea, potential second round opponent. Korea is a clay quarter, it's not a grass quarter. Musetti, most likely will face in the 3rd round. Musetti will play the Queen's final against Tommy Paul. So I'm not quite sure about Rublev coming through Musetti in the potential 3rd round. But anyway, I'm not super confident in Rublev, to be quite honest with you, my tennis fans all around the world. And then in the 4th round, he can face Tsitsipas. Yeah, the match against Tsitsipas, if they face each other in the 4th round, Rublev and Tsitsipas, of course, it's a toss-up, like it always is with these two. The player who has the best day of that match, who will win. It is always a very even Steven head-to-head between Rublev and Tsitsipas. So he can face Tsitsipas in the 4th round. But I believe that Tsitsipas is I have a feeling that Rublev is a better grass court player than Tsitsipas. That is my feeling. Rublev has at least made to a Wimbledon quarterfinal. Tsitsipas has never made it to a Wimbledon quarterfinal. So, I have Rublev coming through to a quarterfinal. He's my number 8 spot. But not super confident in him, obviously. By the way, I will say that last. I can say it now, because I can forget. Wimbledon is the most unpredictable Grand Slam tournament of all the 4, according to me. Not when it comes to winners, because when it comes to winners, the last 21 years, 20 plus years, we had only 4 guys who has won Wimbledon, which has been Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, and Andy Murray. And Carlos Alcaraz was the first player over 20 years outside this big 4 when it comes to Wimbledon and their dominance. So 20 plus years since Later Hewitt won it back in 2002, 22 years ago. We have the 4 players who have dominated this championship, Wimbledon, which has been, like I said, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, and Murray. These 4 have won it, and majority of those times that has won it is, of course, Federer 8 times, Djokovic 7 times, which is 15 times. Nadal has won it 2 times, and Murray has won it 2 times. Alcaraz broke that dominance from those 4 last year when he won Wimbledon as 20 years old of age. So when it comes to champions, that has not been an unpredictable tournament. But when it comes to upsets, we have the most upsets at Wimbledon because the margins are small on grass. The serve plays a big role here. If you drop your serve in one set, it can be hasta la vista, baby. It is not like hard court and especially clay when you can be 2 breaks down in a set and you can still come back. If you're 2 breaks down in a set on grass, man, you need to do some kind of a miracle to come back. I'm not saying that it's impossible, of course it's not impossible, but it is much harder in coming back with 2 breaks in a set on grass than it is on hard courts and especially on clay. So that's why Wimbledon is, as a tennis analyst, is the most difficult Grand Slam for me to predict when it comes to high seeds and how they will progress. But when it comes to champions, that has not been the case, like I just demonstrated 1, 2, 3 minutes ago. So we will see much more upsets at Wimbledon, I believe, than we saw at French Open, where the high seeds, majority of them, they did deep runs at French Open 1 month ago. Anyway, so that I wanted to put out there. So we'll see not many maybe, but definitely much more upsets at Wimbledon we will see than we saw at French Open 1 month ago. And that has been the case, to be quite honest, in many, many years, where the ranking just doesn't play a big role on grass as much as it does on clay and hard courts. Period. I just wanted to put those words out there. So I had 6 players out of 8 that went to quarterfinals at French Open 1 month ago. 6 out of my top 8 favorite list made it to quarterfinal at French Open 1 month ago. I will be surprised if I do better here. I will be surprised. If I do better here, I will be surprised than I did at French Open 1 month ago. Really, because I just believe that grass is much smaller margins. The ranking doesn't play a big role here like it does on hard courts and clay. So lower ranked players can match and defeat higher ranked players on grass much more than they do on grass than they do on hard courts and clay. That's it. I believe that you guys, majority of you at least, will agree with me. All right, let's continue this list. Rublev is on my 8. On my 7th spot, we have Tommy Paul. Tommy Paul, who just won Queens, his biggest tournament in his career that he has won, the 500 class tournament, who is a I don't know if grass is his best surface, but I thought that Tommy Paul's best surface is clay. He's a junior French Open champion, Tommy Paul. So anyway, he won Queens last couple of weeks ago. Tommy Paul. So or it was last week that he won Queens, Tommy Paul. So that was a big confidence boost for him. So he will be dangerous at Wimbledon. He deserves to be on my top 8 favorite list. I believe he will be here for the first time. He defeated Musetti there in the final, like I mentioned before. So I think he can make a run at Wimbledon. I'm liking his draw. He has Martinez in the first round, clay quarter. He has Purcell in the second round. Purcell is, by the way, he's on the Eastbourne final at the current moment. So that will not be easy for Tommy Paul, because when you face a guy who's just playing an Eastbourne final, a grass court tournament, it is always tricky. So at least he has Purcell in the second round. So, but I believe Tommy Paul is a better grass court player than Purcell, so I believe he will come through him. Then Tommy Paul can face Bublik in the third round. Bublik, we all know Bublik is a light version of Nick Kyrgios, so you never know what you will get from Bublik. But I think Tommy Paul is a more consistent player than Bublik at the current moment, at least a more reliable player than Bublik at the current moment. So I believe he comes through Bublik there, Paul. Then in the fourth round, Tommy Paul can face Sonego, Casper Ruud. I don't think Casper Ruud will win 3 matches and face Tommy Paul in the fourth round. Casper Ruud was his worst surface is grass. He's even made jokes about grass, where he said that grass is to smoke, not to play on it. So, and he has not made a secret that he doesn't like playing on grass. He has not won more than, I believe, the maximum matches that Casper Ruud has won at Wimbledon is 1 or 2 matches. He has never been to a third round, Casper Ruud, at Wimbledon. What I know. Correct me down below if I'm wrong. Casper Ruud has never been to a third round at Wimbledon. So what I know and remember. So I don't believe that Casper will win 3 matches here at Wimbledon and face Tommy Paul in that fourth round. Most likely I believe it will be Sonego that Tommy Paul will face in the fourth round. The player that Federer won his last professional match in his tennis career back at Wimbledon 2021, where Federer defeated Sonego in the fourth round. That was Federer's last professional victory in a tennis court. That was against Lorenzo Sonego. So I believe Sonego has a pretty good, decent game on grass. I believe he can make it to a fourth round here at Wimbledon and face Tommy Paul in that potential fourth round. Anyway, that was Tommy Paul's path in his draw. All right. Then we have my sixth spot. Who is that sixth spot in my top 8 favorite list? That is Daniil Medvedev, the Russian bear. You know, guys, I'm not super high on Medvedev. Yeah, I like him. I like his game. I'm not saying that he is a bad player, not at all. But I'm maybe not super high on him like other tennis analysts around the world. I believe that he has, even though he's not super old, but he maybe has passed his peak. Maybe. I believe that he has had his great peak, which was a couple of years ago. I'm not saying he will not win any tennis tournaments in the future. He will do, but I'm not so confident in him he will win his second Grand Slam title. I'm not. He has such big threats like Alcaraz, Sinner, and Djokovic is still around. He has not retired yet, so he has some big mountains to climb for him to win his second Grand Slam title. It is very difficult winning Grand Slams, especially winning your second is very difficult. He has played 6 Grand Slam finals, Medvedev, and he has lost 5 of them. So which is the hardest match to win in a Grand Slam tournament. It is the final. It is the final. Because you will face the dude who has won 6 matches in the tournament, exactly like you have done. So he's coming to that final with pretty high confidence. So it is not winning. It is not easy winning Grand Slam final. Just ask Zverev as well. He has played 2, he's lost both of them. Ask Tsitsipas, he has played 2 and lost both of them as well. So anyway, Medvedev is on my 6th spot. He has a pretty good, decent draw, at least in the first couple of rounds. Kovacevic in his first round opponent, a player that I don't think will trouble Medvedev. Muller probably he will face in the second round. I don't think he will trouble Medvedev as well. And Struff in the third round. That will be Medvedev's first big test, the third round against Struff, because Struff has a big grass court game with big serve, big forehand, so he can do some damage against Medvedev. I will not be shocked at all if Medvedev loses to Struff in the third round. Not at all. But I believe Medvedev will most likely come through Struff. Another big test I believe will be against Dimitrov. Dimitrov who has defeated Medvedev a couple of times in his career, to say the least. So Dimitrov will be Medvedev's first. I believe Dimitrov will win 3 matches at Wimbledon. Dimitrov is, after all, a former Wimbledon semi-finalist from 2014, if I'm not mistaken, when he lost against Djokovic in 4 sets. So, and Dimitrov likes playing on grass. He has that slice that doesn't bounce so much. We all know that the slice has the best effective on grass, because the bounce, the lowest bouncing surface is of course grass courts. So Dimitrov has that slice that can be effective against Medvedev on this surface. And then he likes to go on net. He has pretty good hands at the net. Dimitrov, so Dimitrov can definitely take out Medvedev in the 4th round. So I'm not super confident in Medvedev, but I have him on 6th spot. He's a former Wimbledon semi-finals from last year, where he lost against Carlos Alcaraz in straight sets. No shame in losing to Carlos Alcaraz, because we all know Carlos Alcaraz went on then to win the entire thing. He defeated Djokovic in the final in 5 sets. So he is a former Wimbledon semi-finalist, Dan Medvedev. So I have him on 6th spot. I believe he will go to a quarterfinal. All right, now we have my highest quarterfinal candidate. You all know, guys, by now. You will follow my channel. The player I have on the 5th spot is the player I believe the most out of my quarterfinalists. Is the player I believe the most that can win his quarterfinal match. That was the exact case with Ruud in the French Open as well. I had Ruud on my 5th spot at French Open, and he went to a semi-final. So, I know he didn't face Djokovic in that quarterfinal match, which I predicted he will do. But we all know Djokovic will withdraw in that French Open due to injury, due to his right knee injury. But anyway, Ruud made it to a semi-final. So it was pretty correct to have him as my highest quarterfinal candidate. So it is not any difference here. So my highest quarterfinal candidate is on my 5th spot, which I believe he definitely can win his quarterfinal match, and I will not be surprised at all if he does. And that player is Hurkacz. Yeah, Hurkacz he just played last week a final at Halle, which he lost against Jannik Sinner. Yeah, no shame in losing against Jannik Sinner, who is the player of the year. I think that we all can agree about that Jannik Sinner is the player of the year so far in 2024 with 4 titles, and winning his first Grand Slam title earlier this year at Australian Open, and defeated Djokovic in the semi-final. And so Hurkacz lost against Jannik Sinner in a tight straight sets defeat against Jannik Sinner, 7-6, 7-6. He lost against Jannik Sinner in that Halle final. And prior to that final, Hurkacz actually didn't lost one single set. So he was pretty impressive in that Halle tournament. But he came against Sinner, who is, like I just demonstrated, why it is not a big shame losing a Sinner. So, and we all know that Hurkacz is a former Wimbledon semi-finalist from 2021, where he defeated Roger Federer in that quarterfinal. The player who gave Roger Federer Roger's last defeat in a professional level. And by the way, battled Roger Federer in that 4th set back in 2021 quarterfinal, 6-love. Hurkacz is always dangerous. He's dangerous, especially with that serve. He has the biggest serve on the tour, especially when it comes to aces. Nobody does more aces than him. Not when it comes to winning points behind his first serve and landing most first serves. That is not the case. But when it comes to doing most aces on the tour, it is Hurkacz who is doing that, baby. And on this fast surface like grass is, with that serve, he is super, super dangerous. So I have him on the 5th place. His draw, Albert in the first round, not any big trouble, I don't think he will get. Fields in the 2nd round, most likely. Cerundolo, a clay court in the 3rd round, most likely. Or Murray, if Murray can win 2 matches, which I don't think he will do, but I will put him that he's on Hurkacz path. So if Murray can win 2 matches, he can face Hurkacz in the 3rd round, but I don't think Murray will win 2 matches on Wimbledon. I really don't think so. That is my feeling. Maybe I will be wrong. And then Hurkacz will most likely face in the 4th round de Minaur. De Minaur is pretty good on grass, by the way, so you never know. Maybe de Minaur can trouble Hurkacz, but I don't think so. I think that Hurkacz big serve will make the difference there. Hurkacz has much bigger serve than what de Minaur has. So there you have Hurkacz path in his draw. So I believe Hurkacz will make it to a quarterfinal. He's my highest quarterfinal candidate. So he's on my 5th spot. All right, now we are in the semi-final spots, my tennis friends all around the world. And with those semi-final spots, of course, are the 4th, 3rd, and then 2nd and 1st, of course. The 2nd and 1st is, of course, the place I believe will make it to the final. So on the 4th spot, when it comes to the semi-finals, I have Taylor Fritz. Yeah, Taylor Fritz, who, by the way, is playing a final at Eastbourne at the current moment in time. So he's coming to Wimbledon with pretty good confidence. It's always a confidence boost when you play a final prior to a Grand Slam tournament that will be played on grass. So Fritz is on my 4th spot. He has done good runs at Wimbledon before, so we all remember he lost a tight 5th set battle against Rafa Nadal 2 years ago, back in 2022, which he almost won. So I have Fritz on my 4th spot. I believe he can make it to semi-final. Am I super confident in him? No, I'm not. Really, like I've said earlier in the video, upsets on grass are much more common than they are on hard court and clay, so I will not be shocked at all if Fritz gets upset much earlier in rounds than semi-final, but I believe that he will make it to a semi-final. I have that kind of a small feeling he will do that. He has a big game with forehand, with big serve. He is not the greatest net player, but he has improved his net game. He's pretty decent mover, actually, which I think that he doesn't get a lot of credit for. He's not any speed demon a la Alcaraz, but who is faster than Alcaraz? Nobody. So anyway, I have him on the 4th place, Taylor Fritz. He has O'Connell as his 1st round opponent. He can face Nishikori as his 2nd round opponent if Nishikori wins his first match, which I doubt he will. Nishikori, the player who has injuries for forever time, but he at least is playing Wimbledon, so let's see how his body will hold there. So he can face Nishikori there in the 2nd round. In the 3rd, he can face Tabilo. Yeah, Tabilo is actually playing a grass court final at the current moment in time in Mallorca. So it is always tricky facing a player who just been playing a Grand Slam, a grass court tournament, a final in a grass court tournament. So Tabilo is that player who's just at the current moment is playing a grass court final in Mallorca. So that Tabilo is on Fritz's path in his draw. And then in the 4th round, Fritz can face Draper or Zverev. I have a feeling that Fritz most likely will face Draper in that 4th round, because Zverev is a collision course against Draper in the 3rd round. And Draper, we all know, did a great run at Queens. Alright? And defeated Carlos Alcaraz in that great run he had at Queens, Draper. So, and And Zverev has never won a tournament on grass. He has really not. So I'm not super confident that Zverev will make through and will defeat Draper in a potential third round. So I have a feeling that most likely Fritz will face Draper in the fourth round. But who knows? Maybe Sasha will prove me wrong. Who knows? It is a toss-up between Sasha and Draper who will win that third round match. Really, it is a toss-up. It is not easy predicting that, but I will give my slightest edge to Draper in that third round potential match between Zverev and Draper. Anyway, so Fritz will most likely face Zverev or Draper in the fourth round. So I believe Fritz can make it to a quarterfinal and even there win his quarterfinal match. So here's my fourth spot, Fritz. Alright, now we come to my biggest favorites. You know, guys who follow my channel, my biggest favorites are always third, second and first. And these three are the players I believe the most will win the tournament. And that has been the case in 99% of the top 8 favorite list I've done for several years now. It has always been 99% of the cases that the players are my top 3 that has won the Grand Slams. And this has not been an easy decision. I will be honest with you, my tennis friends all around the world. I've thought about this. In all this time that I've not done this video and I've been busy with other things, like I just mentioned at the beginning of the video, I will be traveling tomorrow. And when I've prepared my journey, I thought, who should I have third? Who should I third? Who should I first? And the decision has been third and first, not second. Second, I've been more about. It has not been a hard decision for me, to be quite honest. Second, I've been quite sure about who to put second, but first and third has not been sure about. And not at all. I just thought about this maybe one day, to be quite honest. After analyzing, watching the draw, thinking about things, I put the player, I will mention his name soon, on my third spot. Even though, of course, he can win the damn thing. Of course, he's my third. He's on my third spot on the top 8 favorite list. So of course he can do it. I believe in him very, very much. But the player I have on first, I just believe in him just slightly a little more. And I will come to the reason why. But the player on the third spot, I will reveal his name now, because you by now wants to know his name. And it is Carlos Alcaraz. The 3 times Grand Slam champion who just won French Open 1 month ago and became the youngest tennis player of all time to win 3 different majors in an age as 21 years old of age. That is, he is the youngest player to do that, where he has won 3 different majors in 3 different surfaces, which is hard court, grass and clay. He has won US Open, he has won Wimbledon, and now he just recently won French Open 1 month ago. So he's coming into this tournament with a pretty big confidence boost. He's a great grass court player. He has played 20 matches on grass, counting both Wimbledon and Queens, and he's 17-3 in those grass court matches. So he has lost only 3 matches on grass, and it's not any against weak players he has lost on grass, really. He has lost against Medvedev back in 2021, where he was very, very young. He has lost against at Wimbledon back in 2021 against Medvedev. He has lost against Yannick Sinner back in 2022. Also, when he was very, very young, back in 2022, he was only 18 years old. Against Medvedev, he was only against Sinner back in 2022, when he lost against Sinner back in 2022 on grass Wimbledon, he was 19 years old, Against Medvedev back in 2021, he was only 18 years old, so he was very, very young, and back then he was not a Grand Slam champion when he lost against Medvedev at 21 and Sinner 22. So he was still a 0 Grand Slam champion. And then his recently loss on grass was just last week against Jack Draper at Queens. So he's lost only 3 grass court matches out of 20 he has played, and he has won 17. And we all know that he won 2 grass court titles last year, Queens and Wimbledon. So Of course, he can win Wimbledon, and he's the defending champion, so he can definitely defend his Wimbledon title from last year. So I will not be surprised at all if he does that. But anyway, I have him on the third spot. And another thing I want to say about Alcaraz, he's a big time player. He's a big match player. He just smashed at majors. He just excels on majors. He's much harder defeating in majors than he is on defeating in 3 sets matches. You can just look at the stat. He has an 84% win in Grand Slams. 84. That is really high. And he has a 77% win in 3 sets matches. In matches outside Grand Slams. So you can see the significant difference here. So when Alcaraz plays Grand Slams, he is a big time player. He's a big time player. His earliest exit in Grand Slams is back in 2022 Australian Open against Matteo Berrettini in the 3rd round. That is his earliest exit in Grand Slams. And he was 18 years old. 18 years old back then. After that, his earliest exit in Grand Slams is against Jannik Sinner the same year at Wimbledon in the 4th round. But he was a 0 Grand Slam champion in those 2 defeats, Carlos Alcaraz. After that, he has made it to quarterfinals or semifinals every single time. Carlos Alcaraz in majors. Quarterfinals or semifinals. And to be quite honest, all semifinals and finals. The earliest defeat since he became a Grand Slam champion, Carlos Alcaraz, which was back in 2022 when he won his first Grand Slam title at US Open. His earliest defeat in majors after he became a Grand Slam champion was against Alexander Sasha Zverev earlier this year at Australian Open when he lost in the quarterfinal. So, what about that, my tennis fans all the world? You can see how consistent and how hard he is to defeat in Grand Slams, Carlos Alcaraz. So, he's much harder defeating in Grand Slams than he is defeating outside Grand Slams. Anyway, I have him on the 3rd spot. His 1st round opponent is Lyall. His 2nd round opponent is Offner, who, by the way, Offner will play at the current moment is playing Mallorca final. So it is always tricky facing players who just are playing a grass court final prior to Wimbledon. See, Offner, he's his 2nd round opponent. Most likely, if Offner wins his 1st round match, which I believe he most likely will do, if he's not too tired after making a deep run at Mallorca. His 3rd round opponent is Coric, but I am doubtful that Coric will win 2 matches at Wimbledon because Coric has been I don't know where he has been the last couple of years, in a long vacation somewhere, because when he has played tennis, he has much more defeats than he has victories. Anyway, Coric is a former Halle champion who has defeated Federer in that final, so you never know with Coric. But Coric is in Alcaraz's path. Or maybe Arnaldi, or maybe he faces Arnaldi in the 3rd round. You never know. Arnaldi is more likely, he's better on hard courts and clay, according to me, but you never know. It's more likely that he faces Arnaldi in the 3rd round, Alcaraz, than facing Coric. I'm not trusting in Coric's level these days around. But anyway, there you have the players that Alcaraz can face. And then in the 4th round, Alcaraz can face Humbert. If Humbert wins 3 matches. But you never know. Humbert, most likely, grass is his best surface. Most likely. He's a former Halle champion, Hugo Humbert. So Alcaraz has some 2 former Halle champions on his path, like Coric as a potential 3rd round if Coric wins 2 matches, and then Humbert as a potential 4th round if Humbert wins 4 matches. So there you have Alcaraz's path in his draw. So Alcaraz, I believe, will make it to a semi-final. Alright, my 2nd spot on this top 8 favorite list is no less than Novak Djokovic, the 24-time Grand Slam champion, the 7 times Wimbledon champion, the greatest tennis player of all time, the most complete tennis player of all time. It is a big question mark with Novak Djokovic and his right knee. But I will not be shocked if Djokovic loses before the final. No, because he has not played one single final this year. This is Novak's worst season in in a decade. I don't remember when Novak was this weak in a tennis season. So he has not won a title this year, of course not. He has not even played the final. So, but is it somewhere that he can play his first tennis final at this 2024 season? I believe it can be here and it can be now at Wimbledon. Even though he's coming in with a big question mark with his right knee, but he has such a good draw that he can play himself into form. He doesn't have any nightmares in the first couple of rounds. He has that serve, that spot serves. Yeah, he is a great spot server. He has that. He can do damage with his first forehand after landing his serve. So it is Djokovic after all, and he will not need his best the first round and second round. He will not. He can defeat those guys with 70-80% of his potential. He can do that, and then after that that can be a confidence boost for him. Then he maybe can just loosen up with his knee and just relax with his knee because when he will be in the second week, he will need to be firing all his cylinders, which I believe he will do. So I believe that he has such a good draw, exactly like Alcaraz as well. By the way, Alcaraz has he has the best draw out of these top 3 favorite guys that I have on this list. So, and Djokovic is second. He has the second best draw after Alcaraz. So he will not be in trouble the first 2 rounds, that's for sure. Then the third, he can face. Because the first round he will face Coprina, a player I've never heard about. The second, Fernali, a wild card from Great Britain. So he will not lose against those 2 dudes, Djokovic, the first and second round. If Djokovic loses the first 2 rounds, it will be due to injury. He will pull out or something. He will, like he did against, he will hurt his knee or something like that. That is the scenario I can see Djokovic lose the first 2 rounds. If he's 70-80% healthy the first 2 rounds, he will not lose against those 2 dudes. The third, he can face Poprin. Poprin has a big serve, big forehand, so he's tricky for Djokovic. You never know. Poprin maybe can do some damage against Djokovic in the third round, but I think he will come through Poprin if Poprin even wins his first two matches. And then the fourth, he can face Rune, and Rune has defeated Djokovic multiple times before. So Rune can definitely defeat Djokovic in the 4th round. I will not be shocked if Rune defeats Djokovic in the 4th round. Rune is a former Wimbledon quarterfinalist, so. But I don't know. Even though Rune has not had his best season so far in his career, he can still defeat Djokovic. I will not be shocked at all if Rune defeats Djokovic in the 4th round. But I have Djokovic coming through his draw. I have Djokovic going to the final at Wimbledon. Even though I'm not super confident in him. And the player that I could believe can do the biggest damage to Djokovic is in the quarterfinal. And I will come to that player soon. Alright, my number 1 pick of this tournament that I believe will win the Grand Slam, the Wimbledon. You know it by now which player that is. It is Jannik Sinner. And it was between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. I was so not sure who to pick first and who to pick third. Jannik Sinner is the better day-to-day player and has been the better day-to-day player than Alcaraz the entire 2024 season. He has been. The numbers are not lying. He has more titles than Alcaraz this year, 4. Alcaraz has 2. He is the world number 1. Alcaraz is not the world number 1. He just won a tournament prior to this Wimbledon. Jannik Sinner, he won Halle, his first ever Grand Slam, his first ever Grand Slam title in his career. He has defeated Carlos Alcaraz in Wimbledon. They only meeting on grass, which was 2 years ago in the 4th round, where Jannik Sinner won in 4 sets. But what makes me having hard to pick Sinner over Alcaraz is, like I said about Alcaraz earlier in the video, he's a big match player. He's a big time player. He's a Grand Slam player. He's much harder defeating Grand Slams than he is defeating 3 sets matches. So that's what's making me so confused and so unsure who to pick first, who to pick third, and in the end I went with Sinner. Am I super confident in him? No, I'm not. But I believe that the match, the winner between Sinner and Alcaraz in the semi-final will be the winner of Wimbledon. That is my feeling. That's my feeling. Exactly like the case was at French Open 1 month ago. The winner in that semi-final between Alcaraz and Sinner won the French Open title, which was Alcaraz. Anyway, Sinner has a top draw. He has a much tougher draw than Djokovic and Alcaraz. At least according to me. Halfman in the first round, I don't believe Halfman will be a big threat. Berrettini in the second round. If Berrettini comes through Fucsovics we all know he's really, really dangerous, especially the early rounds of the Grand Slams, and then he kind of collapses physically. So if Berrettini defeats Fucsovics, Berrettini can damage Sinner, but not more than one set. Many are hyping and believing that Berrettini maybe even will do the upset against Sinner. I don't think so. I just don't think Berrettini can match Sinner's level. I just really don't think so. Sinner has such a big game that Sinner will just punish Berrettini's weak backhand and Berrettini's returns. So I don't know how Berrettini will defeat Sinner. I really don't know. And I don't think Berrettini will do it. Berrettini can maximum take one set against Sinner, not more than so. But it is dangerous facing Berrettini that early. If Berrettini wins against Fucsovics in the first round, so it is really dangerous. So I don't think Sinner was not happy at all seeing Berrettini as early as a second round potential match. I don't think Sinner was happy at all. Then Griekspoor in the third. Griekspoor, who actually, by the way, played against in Halle, won in 3 sets. Griekspoor is always dangerous. We all know Griekspoor. He almost defeated Zverev in third round in French Open. Griekspoor was double break up in the 5th set against Zverev, but we all know Zverev made that unbelievable great comeback. So, and won in the end that match against Griekspoor in the 3rd round at the French Open 1 month ago in 5 sets. So Griekspoor can do damage against Sinner as well. He's not easy. He's not easy. And then the 4th round, where it there becomes really hard for Sinner. Shelton can face Shelton, who just, by the way, played the grass court final 1 week ago. So, and lost there. So, Shelton, he's coming into this Wimbledon with the grass court final in his bag on this surface. So, then Yari, we all know Yari kills the ball. The ball's huge with forehand and serve. If Yari can make it to the 4th round, and then Shapovalov. We all know Shapovalov is a Santa Claus player many times. He's a unforced error machine. But if Shapovalov can win 3 matches and make it to that 4th round, then that is a proof that he has found his range and found his groove. And he is a former Wimbledon semi-finalist, not to forget, which he lost. And lost that match against Djokovic, so it's not a shame losing a Grand Slam semi-final against Djokovic. So Sinner has a pretty difficult draw, at least much harder draw than Alcaraz and Djokovic. But I believe that he can make it. He will make it. I don't know if he will make it. It was wrong word to use, but I believe he can do it. He can do it, and I believe he can lift the trophy. Am I super confident in him? No, I'm not. I will be honest with you, my tennis friends on the road. But I have him on my 1 spot. I believe that he can. I believe he will win the Wimbledon. He will lift the trophy and win his 2nd Grand Slam title in his career. So the quarterfinal matches is between Sinner and Medvedev. It is 6-5 to Medvedev in the head-to-head. They have never faced each other on grass. Medvedev has won the first 6 matches. Then Sinner has won the last 5 matches. So Sinner is in 5 consecutive victories against Medvedev. So I believe Sinner defeats Medvedev in the quarterfinal. Then Alcaraz against Paul. It is 2-2 in the head-to-head. It is even Steven. They have never faced each other on grass. I believe Alcaraz defeats Paul in that quarterfinal. Then the 3rd quarterfinal match is between Fritz and Rublev. Fritz leads the head-to-head 5-4. They have never faced each other on grass. I believe Fritz defeats Rublev. So unfortunately for Rublev, I believe Rublev will not win this. He will lose a quarterfinal match at majors for the 11th time. And then Djokovic Hurkacz, the fourth quarterfinal match. 7-love, the head-to-head is for Djokovic. They face each other 2 times on grass before. Both of those times has been in Wimbledon. And Djokovic has won both of those 2 matches in 4 sets. 2019 and 2020. And last year, 2023. So, I believe that Djokovic defeats Hurkacz in that quarterfinal match. Even though I will not be shocked at all if Hurkacz defeats Djokovic. That's why Hurkacz is on my 5th spot in this top 8 favorite list, my highest quarterfinal candidate. Because with that serve, and Djokovic coming into this tournament with a question mark with his knee and not the greatest preparation, I will not be shocked. I will not be surprised at all if Hurkacz makes an upset and defeats Djokovic in the quarterfinal. I really will not be. I really will not. But I will say 55% winning percentage to Djokovic and 45 winning percentage to Hurkacz in that quarterfinal match between those 2. Anyway, then we have the semifinal. Sinner against Alcaraz. The blockbuster match, like we saw 1 month ago at French Open as well. This time around, I believe Sinner defeats Alcaraz. The head-to-head is 5-4 to Alcaraz. They faced each other only once on grass, which was 2 years ago at Wimbledon, 4th round, like I mentioned earlier, and that match, Sinner won in 4 sets. But I will not be surprised at all if Alcaraz will defeat Sinner. Like I said, Alcaraz is a big-time player, like I just demonstrated in this video many times. And the other semifinal will be between Djokovic and Fritz. The head-to-head is 9-0 to Djokovic. I don't believe that Fritz defeats Djokovic. I just don't believe it. If Fritz even makes it to that semifinal, which I'm really not super confident that he will do. I'm more confident in Djokovic, Sinner, and Alcaraz make it to the semifinal. I'm not super confident in Fritz. I really am not. If Fritz is there, I definitely don't believe he will. Maybe Zverev will make it to the semifinal. Who knows? Or maybe Jack Draper. You never know. But I believe that, or maybe Zverev, maybe Draper. But I don't know. I believe Fritz will make it to that semifinal against Djokovic. Let's see. 9-0 the head-to-head between Djokovic and Fritz. I don't think Fritz has much of a chance there. And then the final will be between Djokovic and Sinner, the Wimbledon final. The head-to-head is 4-3 to Djokovic. Sinner is a 2-match winning streak against Djokovic. They have faced. By the way, Djokovic and Fritz, they've never faced each other on grass. And I forgot to mention that. Sinner and Djokovic, 4-3 the head-to-head is to Djokovic, but Sinner is a 2-winning match streak. So Sinner has won the last 2 matches that they've played. On grass they faced each other 2 times, both at times at Wimbledon 2022. The first time they faced each other on grass at Wimbledon, a quarterfinal match, a match that Sinner was 2 sets to love up in the league. Djokovic made that comeback and won it in 5 sets. And then they faced each other last year at Wimbledon, 2023 in semifinal, which Djokovic won in 3 straight sets. But Sinner is a completely different player from last year when Djokovic faced him at Wimbledon. You don't know if you guys know it, but Sinner, since US Open last year, we lost to Sasha Zverev in the 4th round. The earliest loss he has is semifinal. He has done semifinal or better since US Open last year when he lost in the 4th round against Alexander Sasha Zverev, which is 10 months ago. So Sinner has been a beast for 10 months now. A beast, more or less. So the last 10 months that Sinner has played tennis, he has made it to the semifinals or finals or winning titles. There you have Sinner's resume the last 10 months. That is really impressive. So if I get this prediction right and we see this final between Djokovic and Sinner in the Wimbledon final, Djokovic will have much harder defeating Sinner at Wimbledon for the 3rd time than he has had the 2 times that they faced each other at Wimbledon. Even though that the first time they faced each other at Wimbledon 2 years ago at that quarterfinal match, it was definitely not easy because Djokovic was down 2 sets to love down. So anyway, I have Sinner defeating Novak Djokovic in the Wimbledon final 2 weeks from now. Let's see if I'll be right or if I'll be wrong. Like I said earlier in the video, Wimbledon is the hardest Grand Slam to predict when it comes to high seeds and how they will progress. Not so much when it comes to the champions. Some dark horses, man, I don't know. Jerry maybe dark horse, Shapo dark horse, Jack Draper dark horse. There we have 3 dark horses. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, see you next time. Peace!